I'm here at the European Development Days in Brussels, and with me is Eloise Todd, Director of One Brussels. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the invitation.
Eloise, tell us, the European Union right now is negotiating a budget framework for the next couple of years, and you are concerned. Why?
We are very concerned. In 1 month's time, Europe's leaders will come together to negotiate this trillion-euro budget. However, there's just 5% of it that has life-saving effects on the ground in developing countries. We want that part to be protected when leaders come together. And at the moment, we're hearing talks of 10%, even 20% cuts to that budget, which would mean 10 billion euros less for people in the poorest countries of the world.
Is there any indication of how those cuts could potentially be split up, or what alternative solutions might be here?
We've heard really worrying things. We've heard that Spain wants to take 30 billion off the entire external spending budget. Even if there was an even cut across the board, it could be 20% less for developing countries. And like I say, that could be a 10 billion cut, possibly the biggest amount of jeopardy for any single bit of development funding there's ever been.
Is there an indication of what funding instruments might be particularly affected?
Not at this stage. That debate comes a bit later, although the European Development Fund, which is the main source of funding for the sub-Saharan African countries, is treated as a separate piece of funding in its own right. So if there's a big cut there, it will affect the poorest countries in Africa.
So what is One doing right now to engage lawmakers, but also engage the global development community?
We are engaging lawmakers in every which way we can think of. Colleagues have been in Luxembourg this morning to give out copies of the FT, where we have an advert today appealing to ministers and leaders not to cut that part of the budget. We've been giving out these newspapers here. We're talking to people in the European Parliament, trying to get the Commission on side to really defend its own ambitious proposals on development spending. So we're talking to all the ministers and leaders that we can.
What do you think is the best case scenario here? Obviously, budgets are tight. Does something just have to give?
We think that something can give in other areas of the budget. European development aid has a fantastic track record, and especially something like the European Development Fund, which really targets Africa. We can't let cuts cost lives. Cuts can cause a lot of damage and a lot of bad effects, but when we're talking about cutting life-saving programs, it's really a different scenario. Because of European aid, we know that 31 million people had connection to drinking water in a 6-year period. And we know that 5 million kids were vaccinated against measles. I mean, these are amazing, tangible results, and we shouldn't want that to stop just because times are tight.
Well, we'll be watching for sure and wish you good luck.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned to Devex.